Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and I'm just sitting here waiting for the axe to come down on me here at YouTube. But until then, I will continue to speak loudly on this platform. I was just in Las Vegas for a week and I was incredibly busy, so my apologies for not getting into this issue sooner. But nonetheless, let's get to it. As most of you know, Alex Jones was recently booted from countless social media sites and applications, including YouTube. An obvious collaborative attempt, and he wasn't the only one. We saw a whole host of people wiped out in one day. The Ron Paul Institute's executive director was taken off Twitter, and this also follows a short-term ban of the SGT report on YouTube, which was reversed after backlash from their audience. Now, I haven't been a fan of Alex Jones in recent years, though he was a big inspiration when I was younger. I felt like he progressively got more and more inconsistent. Many call him a psyop. I have no evidence either way. I used to defend him a lot more, but it's not something I really care to do these days. But this recent deplatforming crosses the line. Let's look at a Facebook status of mine from a few days ago and we'll dig deeper into it. As the status read, YouTube, Facebook, and Apple are not private companies. They have been subsidized with billions of dollars by government. This makes them a government monopoly. Moreover, this makes Google/YouTube a government monopoly on information, and that should disturb everyone if they believe in free speech and free expression. When they delete a channel, regardless of what you think of it, you don't get to make choices on what other people can or cannot see or listen to. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But supporting government censorship of information makes you a fair weather advocate of censorship when it benefits your ideological viewpoint. That is not much different from what we saw both in Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia within the press. We cannot stand for this. Every other independent media is next, eventually. And if we do not stand up now, give alternatives, etc., we will reap the consequences. Now, a few people gave me a hard time over this post. Some claim it's the same as saying, bake the cake! The problem with that example is that we're not asking government to stop YouTube from shutting down Alex Jones. We're not asking for force to be used. Also, the problem with the cake situation was that they were a private business that didn't want to bake the cake for someone. Okay, allow the free market to decide their fate by the demand of the individual's currency. In this recent case, we have heavily monopolized or duopolized or triopolized corporations, which by definition mean they are incorporated with the government, deciding what people can or cannot say. Whether we are talking about regulations or taxes monopolizing them, which means they can manage or afford the regulations and taxes while smaller businesses cannot, or whether we are talking about actual government subsidies handed to these massive corporations, it all adds up to the same point. They are an arm of the state, not the free market. They are semi-private at best. One argument one person made was that by the same coin, we may as well call all farmers who receive subsidies and all university students who get grants from the state a product of the state or owned by the state. First of all, it's not an argument to say other corporations or even businesses are subsidized by the state. That's just a further example of the destruction of the free market. Telling farmers what they should or should not grow one year or another doesn't negate the fact that Google has taken in vast sums of money from the government and have worked deeply with the CIA for years, as has Facebook, which regularly takes marching orders from the state. Not just in the United States, but in several other countries, including Israel and France. This isn't rocket science. A free market cannot be manipulated by the state. In order to be free, it must literally be free, based on the individual demand of individuals in generalized groups supportive of certain products or services. Secondly, the attempted correlation between those on welfare and corporations is semantics and doesn't actually make sense. I'm not saying those on welfare are owned by the government. Those people are just taking stolen funds. A corporation, which again, by definition, is an arm of the state, taking stolen money via taxation to knock other competitors out of the market, does not equal individuals on welfare. They're all forms of welfare, sure, but individuals and corporate government entities are not one in the same. It's amazing people are so dependent on this organized crime syndicate we call government to do everything for us and shut people up when we don't like them. Matt Taibbi recently wrote into this issue extensively, and let me just say Matt Taibbi is certainly not of the right. In fact, Alex Jones and Matt Taibbi have gotten into public spats on multiple occasions over the years, including earlier this year. Here's what he said in the Rolling Stone article titled Taibbi, Beware the Slippery Slope of Facebook Censorship. A page called Black Elevation shows a picture of Huey Newton and offers readers a job. Aztlan Warriors contains a meme celebrating the likes of Geronimo and Zapata giving thanks for their service in the 500-year war against colonialism. And a banned Mindful Being page shared this, which seems culled from Jack Handy's Deep Thoughts bit. And I quote, "We must unlearn what we have learned because a conditioned mind cannot comprehend the infinite." Facebook also wiped out a No Unite the Right 2 page appearing to advertise a counter rally on the upcoming anniversary of the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia. Facebook was helped in its efforts to wipe out these dangerous memes by the Atlantic Council, on whose board you'll find confidence-inspiring names like Henry Kissinger, former CIA Chief Michael Hayden, former acting CIA head Michael Morrell, and former Bush-era Homeland Security Chief Michael Chertoff. The latter is the guy who used to bring you the insane color-coded terror threat level system. These people now have their hands on what is essentially a direct lever over nationwide news distribution. It's hard to understate the potential mischief that lurks behind this union of internet platforms and would-be government censors. As noted in Rolling Stone earlier this year, 70% of Americans get their news from just two sources, Facebook and Google. As that number rises, the power of just a few people to decide what information does and does not reach the public will amplify significantly. The same article goes on to call Alex Jones a lunatic, of course, but you get the point. We are essentially watching a massive book burning take place on a scale that we've never seen before. This is a witch hunt. It is also eerily similar to the beginning of an Orwellian social credit system like that of China's technocratic compliance, if you will. We are using this blanket term, quote-unquote hate speech, in order to muzzle those we do not agree with, a term that can be used to describe everything that may ever offend you, regardless of what side you're on. In this circus called political discourse, the last thing we need is more of this crazed back and forth nonsense. We saw statues torn down by the left over the last couple years, and we are even seeing the right demand other statues representing the left be torn down too. It's nothing but blind religious loyalty to whatever form of the religion of statism one believes in, yet both sides recite the mantra of collectivism, for the greater good of the greater number. There is no difference between the sides. It's all hate. They all hate each other and no one has any agenda to listen. We are now seeing terms the left uses to describe free speech spouted by those on the right as well, following the deplatforming. You've probably heard it before. Hate speech is lateral violence, they claim. That somehow Alex Jones talking about a pizza place means it's his fault. Someone even dumber walks into the place and shoots it up. So if I say the government is criminal, it's somehow my fault that some guy shoots up a government building? No, it is solely the fault of the individual if we want to concern ourselves with the possibilities that someone like myself as a public figure may say something that another person misconstrues and does something stupid with. We may as well all shut up and never speak. Tear out our vocal cords because someone insane might be listening. Talk about a nanny state. When we see a government monopoly on information reject our right to speak, we need to stand up. If we do not, then no one will stand up for us when they come and get us. Google and Facebook are the ministry of propaganda today for the government, where that which does not follow the thin line drawn in the sand is simply hidden from the majority of people outside of that ideological echo chamber. There are solutions, however. There are platforms like STEEMIT, Minds, DTube. Some people like Vimeo and Library. Personally, I just like STEEMIT and DTube, which are blockchain-based and more decentralized without the ability to censor or ban. We need to stand up for those they're cracking the whip on. I feel more and more every day that my good friends in media are in danger. We Are Change, Press for Truth, The Corbett Report, and countless others. We need to free the markets. We need to stop looking to government for solutions. The only moral obligation we have is to respect those around us who are not aggressing against us or using force against us. All voluntary interactions must be accepted and allowed to carry a demand based in ethics on the free market. We are all products on the free market ourselves. If we do stupid things, we lose demand and people don't want anything to do with us. We hurt someone and we get outcast or reap other far more extreme circumstances. Take the government out of the picture. We already live in an anarchist society. There's just a giant organized crime cartel marching around with a bunch of minion loyalists regurgitating their every word, while a bunch of minion loyalists for the other organized crime cartels regurgitate their every word. We just have a bunch of idiot humans infighting against each other for the same collectivist reasons, rooting for the other coercive sports team instead of looking up at their scoffing masters and realizing they're used as pawns to throw everyone to their knees. Fight the real enemy. Quit begging for more collectivism. Quit begging for the other 51% to put guns to the heads of the other 49% under the belief that one side knows better how the other side should live and be ruled. Rule yourself. Decentralize everything. We will see YouTube and Facebook crash as the tech bubble reaches its peak 10 years after 2008. I realize I just ranted like crazy, so I'll try and close it off by reverting back to the point of this video. I still use YouTube and Facebook because it allows me to reach outside of my echo chamber. The majority of clicks on YouTube come from suggested videos. If the algorithm allows me to do so, I can reach people on the left and right who all believe deeply in their sports team and in voting harder for quote-unquote change. Most YouTube and Facebook alternatives are not yet necessarily providing a large enough base for counter viewpoints. There are extensive echo chambers on these alternative sites. My point is to help educate and reason with people. I cannot do that in an echo chamber. I love all of you who watch my videos and believe what I believe and support me, but alas, my goal is to reach as many people who disagree with me as possible. It will be difficult to do that if I am muzzled, but after all, I am a firm believer that the market will provide, and we are already seeing the beginning of that with sites like STEEMIT and DTube. So Alex Jones is talking about suing YouTube. He has claimed since the expulsion that Zuckerberg himself made the decision to axe him. I haven't seen the exact evidence. Since being booted from YouTube, his InfoWars Apple app has become the #1 trending app on the iPhone. Funny how that works. We may be in dangerous times, but I've never been more optimistic for the future. What we see in the media that concerns us so rightly that society is collapsing is the minority. Most people are not what the media portrays. Most people are just trying to live their lives. Work, sleep, eat, love, and hang on. They're not burning crosses or burning books. They're not calling everyone derogatory terms like racist or bigot if you disagree with them. They aren't calling everyone a libtard or a cuck if you disagree with them. They are just human beings living life. Reach out to them. Talk to them. Educate them. Break them out of their shell. We'll need them. But do not give up hope Freedom shall prevail. We just need to work hard and ensure that the truth does not die in darkness. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at STEEMIT at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, you know, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.